Welcome to the deep dive. So think back with us. May 15th, 2025.
Right?
Maybe around, what, 4 p.m. Eastern?
Yeah, about then.
For a little while there, it felt like a big chunk of the internet just blinked out. TikTok went down.
It really did. And it was one of those moments that kind of makes you realize how deeply embedded these platforms are.
Totally. Like digital plumbing you don't notice until it breaks.
Exactly. It's not just, an app. It's woven into the day for so many people.
For sure. And globally, thousands, maybe tens of thousands, suddenly hit that loading icon that never stops.
The spinning wheel of doom.
Yeah, that video's frozen, the app just crashing, a real digital hiccup.
And what stood out, I think, was how quiet TikTok was initially.
Mm-hmm. Left everyone scrambling, wondering, is it my Wi-Fi? Is it just me? Or was something bigger going on?
Right, that uncertainty.
So that's our mission for this deep dive. What does this brief digital blackout actually tell us about our habits, platform stability, the whole tech scene?
Mm-hmm. Okay, so let's trace it. When TikTok did go dark on the 15th, people didn't really wait for an official announcement, did they?
No way. Where did they go?
Well, straight to places like Downdetector. And around that peak, 4 p.m. Eastern, bam, over 33,000 reports flooding in.
Wow. 33,000. That's a lot of frustrated scrolling fingers.
It really is. A huge spike. Gives you a sense of the scale instantly.
And it wasn't like flicking a switch off and on again, right? It dragged on a bit.
That's right. It wasn't just a quick blip. An hour later, Downdetector was still showing, what, about 13,000 reports?
Still significant.
Yeah, definitely. Suggests they were fixing it, but, gradually. Piece by piece, maybe.
But that hour and a half of major disruption, enough to throw a wrench in a lot of afternoons.
Oh, absolutely. And it triggered that very modern reflex.
Yeah.
To jump onto Twitter to see if TikTok is down.
Which brings us to Downdetector itself. For anyone maybe not familiar, what is it? Why was it so central here?
Well, think of it like a neighborhood watch for the internet, but automated. It started back in 2012, now owned by Ookla, the speedest people.
Ah, right.
And its job is just to track services. It relies on us, the users, reporting problems. Hey, this isn't working for me.
So it collects all those reports.
Exactly. It aggregates them. When there's a sudden surge, like with TikTok, it flags a potential widespread outage.
So it gives you that immediate, okay, it's not just me feeling.
Precisely. While TikTok was maybe figuring things out internally, Downdetector became the kind of unofficial source of truth. Confirmation by crowd power.
A digital town square for outage news. Makes sense. But as you said, the conversation didn't just stay there. People took it to other platforms.
Oh, immediately. The speed people jumped onto Twitter, onto Instagram. It's almost instinctive now, isn't it?
It really is. One digital space breaks, you reach for another.
Yeah, to check in, to vent, to connect with others, going through the same thing. It shows how much we need that digital validation, that shared experience.
And the way people reacted was interesting, too. A lot of frustration, sure, but mixed with humor, memes almost instantly.
That's a key part of it now, that online coping mechanism. Like that tweet someone shared.
Which one?
Something like, thought my internet died because TikTok wasn't working. Turns out TikTok's just down, lol, lovely.
Huh. Right. Simple, but it says a lot.
It really does. If you unpack it a bit, the underlying assumption is, well, TikTok should always be working, like electricity or running water.
Yeah, its baseline, its absence is the anomaly that makes you question everything else first.
Exactly. Your internet must be broken before you consider TikTok is broken.
That really drives home how these aren't just time killers anymore. They're like part of the background radiation of daily life for millions.
Integrated. Deeply integrated into routines, social connections, just the feeling of normalcy.
So when that fabric tears, even for an hour, it's more than inconvenient. It's genuinely disruptive to that rhythm.
And if we kind of zoom out from just TikTok, this incident really reflects a much bigger picture, doesn't it?
How so?
Our growing reliance on, honestly, a handful of massive digital platforms for, well, almost everything.
Entertainment, sure, but also communication, news, shopping.
Information, community, even jobs and income for creators.
Yeah.
It's all increasingly centralized.
Which is super convenient usually, until it's not.
Exactly. Convenience on one side, but it also creates these single points of failure that can cause massive ripples when they wobble.
So it begs the question, really. What does it mean when one app going offline for 90 minutes causes such widespread frustration and disruption?
Yeah. It highlights a potential fragility in our super connected world, maybe.
It's definitely a moment to reflect. For you listening, what was your first thought when you heard about it? Even if you weren't on TikTok then.
Did you check another app? Did it make you think about the platforms you rely on every day?
These outages are like unscheduled fire drills for our digital lives, I suppose.
Yeah,
Force us to look around.
good way to put it. And, the TikTok story isn't just about technical stuff breaking. There's a whole other layer.
You mean the broader context, the politics.
Exactly. The platform is operating under some pretty intense global scrutiny,
Hmm.
especially in the U.S.
Right. The concerns about data privacy, national security, that hasn't gone away.
Not at all. You have legislation like the Protecting Americans from Foreign Adversary Controlled Applications Act. That's a very real pressure.
And just to clarify for listeners, what's the core concern behind that act?
Well, fundamentally, it's about worries that user data collected by apps owned by companies based in certain countries could potentially be accessed or manipulated by foreign governments in ways that might harm U.S. interests or citizens.
So data security, potential influence.
Right. Questions about who ultimately controls the data, where it goes, and how it could be used. Now, obviously, that's separate from a server melting down or a bad code push.
But it adds to the atmosphere around the platform.
Absolutely. When a platform is already under that kind of microscope, any instability, even technical, can kind of feed into existing user anxieties about its reliability or its future.
It becomes part of a bigger narrative of uncertainty.
You could say that. It's not just, is the app working? But maybe, in the back of some minds, is this whole thing stable long term?
Okay, so bringing it back to the outage itself. In a weird way, this forced downtime could be seen as an unexpected nudge towards thinking about digital well-being.
Yeah, that's an interesting angle. These involuntary digital breaks, even short ones, they do force you off autopilot.
Make you look up from the screen.
Right. And maybe think, okay, what else could I be doing? Or, wow, I really only use these two apps. How diversified are my digital or even non-digital activities?
Do I have other ways to connect, to get news, to be entertained if my main source vanishes?
It's like that power cut analogy you made earlier. Suddenly you remember board games exist.
Or books.
Or talking to the person next to you. This TikTok pause was the digital version of that, a temporary reshuffle.
And it highlights why things like digital literacy are actually important skills now.
Definitely. Just understanding your own usage patterns, recognizing when you might be a bit too reliant on one thing.
Yeah.
That awareness is key.
It helps you navigate these bumps, maybe with a bit less panic or frustration.
Makes you more resilient, perhaps.
So, thinking ahead then, what are the big takeaways from this? For the platforms and for us users.
Well, for the platforms, I think the big one is communication during outages. Clear, timely, transparent.
Builds trust, manages expectations.
Exactly. Silence just fuels speculation and frustration. And for us, for the users.
Cultivate resilience.
Yeah, I think so. It's about maybe consciously trying not to put all our digital eggs in one basket.
Having alternatives, maybe? Or just being prepared for the fact that things can break sometimes?
And developing a wider range of things that occupy our time and attention, both online and off. A bit more balance.
So, wrapping this up, our deep dive into that TikTok outage on May 15th. It really shows how a seemingly small tech issue can ripple outwards.
It touches on our deep dependencies, the absolute need for these platforms to be reliable, and that whole complicated world they operate in.
Politics, tech, user habits, it's all interconnected.
It really is. And it leaves us with a final thought maybe for you to chew on. Think about the other digital tools you lean on every single day. Your email, your maps, your messaging app, your work tools.
Right?
What if one of them just went dark tomorrow morning? No warning. How would that actually impact your day, your work, your ability to connect?
That's a good question.
And maybe what small thing could you do, starting today, to build just a little bit more resilience into your own digital life, just in case?